Hey guys, what's up, how's it going? My name is Rob and welcome back to the channel for another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a long-awaited update to the WealthSimple Invest portfolio, and I'll be doing like a quick little mini review slash update for 2021, since a lot of people have been asking me for an update on how our growth portfolio has been doing inside the robo-advisor. So not to confuse anybody, but there is a couple different types of programs with WealthSimple. So the main one I use on this channel is to document my journey with WealthSimple Trade, and that's why I buy and sell my own stocks and build my own dividend-based portfolio. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about WealthSimple Invest, which is WealthSimple's robo-advisor. So just to kind of clarify that a little bit, for some of you guys who watch my channel normally, I actually built this WealthSimple Invest portfolio way back in I think it was about March 2019. This is when I first got started with investing, and I just basically kept putting money inside the robo-advisor and just growing it over time. And that's how I first got started with investing. And then when I got more comfortable with investing and I figured out kind of more of what I wanted to do and the type of portfolio I wanted to build, that's when I switched over to WealthSimple Trade. But I still have my WealthSimple Invest portfolio and just kind of been letting it sit in the background, growing as time goes on. So in today's video, I'll give you guys an update on the portfolio. I'll show you guys the holdings. I'll talk about the journey throughout the portfolio as time goes on. And I'll show you guys things like the dividend income and how much money we've earned so far for anybody who's brand new and wants to just see how investing works. So before we jump into that, I just want to say really quickly that there are referral links in the description of this video. If you guys want to sign up to WealthSimple or WealthSimple Trade, you guys get bonuses and a little bit of free cash for doing that. So check that out in the description of this video if you guys want those links. So let's jump inside the portfolio and let's take a quick peek about on how the WealthSimple Invest portfolio has been doing over the past couple years. Alright guys, so here's the portfolio for the WealthSimple Invest account here. As you guys can see, here's the main portfolio. So we'll cover the balances first, and I'll show you guys the money, and we'll talk about some of the holdings, and I'll go over things like the dividend income, so you guys can see how things have kind of grown over time here. But here's the overall portfolio value. So once again, I started this portfolio way back. You guys can see here where it's a cool little graph they have here. Way back in March 18th of 2019. So I guess in March 2021, as we're approaching in a couple weeks, will mark the 2-year anniversary of this account. And we can see here that we have a total of $54,000, $420 inside this WealthSimple Invest portfolio. And currently all time we're up $6,770, which at the end of the day is pretty decent. And keep in mind, we've grown this since like over the past 2 years. So throughout most of 2019, we were just kind of growing this portfolio as time goes on. You can see I just kind of regularly put money in. In March is when I really got serious. I basically took all my savings and I put the first $7,000 in, and then I put the other like $6,000 in or whatever, and we got up to $13,000, and we just kept investing in the portfolio as time went on. You can see some big jumps, some big dips. You can see in March of 2020 when the pandemic happened, we had a big crash here. We went from $42,000 all the way down to $35,000, but we kept investing, we kept putting money back in, and that $35,000 low went all the way up back to $40,000, $50,000 and just kept growing over time. And we can see over the past month, the portfolio is up to $54,000 over the past 3 months. Unfortunately, WealthSimple Invest actually doesn't have markings that tell you the certain percentages, but we can just see here for the past month, we've kind of went up a little bit, then went back down over the past 3 months. Once again, pretty small increases here and there, but we're trailing back down over the past little while. Then over the past 6 months, there's been a pretty steady growth. And actually, we were sitting at about $56,000 about a week or two ago in middle of February. So there's been a little bit of dip in the market over the past couple weeks, but that's not a big deal. Once again, the most important thing is like all-time earnings, where you can see that the portfolio has just been growing over time. So in terms of percentages, if we click here, we can see here that we have the high risk portfolio, which is the highest risk one. And we can see the actual percentage here. If we click on this little question mark, we can see that total return is 14%. So if we divide that by 2, which would be 2 years, that would be an average return of about 7% per year. But keep in mind, once again, that first year was a lot of growing the portfolio. So, 7% isn't too bad, I think, all things considered, especially with the pandemic, whatnot. So I'm pretty happy with the account. And if I would have been investing in the account over the past, I'd say, year or so, I've really been focusing on my WealthSimple Trade account, that number probably would have been a lot more. But I just want to point that out there. So that's how you kind of figure out, like, okay, what's the actual percentage by year? You just divide it by 2 since it's 2 years, and it gives you that 7%. And you can see, once again, net deposits is $47,000. Total account value is $54,000. This is also how you'd figure out your TFSA contribution room. So if this is, if you had an account in a TFSA like I do, you can easily see here that the net deposits is $47,000. That's how much you contributed. This is your actual account value. So if you guys want to kind of figure that out, that's an easy way to do it. And we'll go over to the holdings here. I just got to find the actual tab. So if we scroll down here, we can see this cool little graph that WealthSimple Investing gives us. This is kind of like them just saying, on average, here's how much money you can expect to have given, your current deposits, your current growth and whatnot. And we can see here, if we kind of bring this up here, we can see over the course of, by the time we retire inside this portfolio, we should have less, what's likely is to be anywhere between 350 to 600K, and less likely is to be 200, 300, 500, and 800. So it's like different variations, right, and different percentages and whatnot. But we could just say, like, over the course of it, if I just kept this portfolio now and I didn't touch it, by the time of 65, we'd have about $300,000 to $800,000, give or take, somewhere in there. So that's a cool little estimate. Just kind of shows you how your money will grow over time. And then on the right side, we have some other information about the portfolio. We can see that it's 90% equity, 10% fixed income. So that'd be 90% stocks, 10% bonds. And we have a risk level of 10. We went for the high growth. When you first start a WealthSimple account, they'll give you a little questionnaire and you can pick like what risk level you want. Just pick, I'd go with, pick whatever they recommend, and then you can always change it later on, so it's not a big deal. Here we can see the different allocations inside the portfolio. So this is, I think, is pretty important to talk about, because this is one of the big reasons why I actually switched over to WealthSimple Trade as my main way of investing, because I wanted to focus on certain ETFs, and you'll kind of see why as we go through this video. So the first ETF we have is a Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. This is 100% US. This is kind of similar to like an S&P 500 type kind of thing. It focuses a lot of tech stocks, a lot of big US based stocks. We can see here we have $12,000 market value, 50 shares, and our performance is up 25%. So you can see here that it's actually one of the best performing ETFs inside our portfolio. And this is one of the things I wanted to focus on inside my WealthSimple Trade account, is I wanted to buy more US stocks. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I switched over there, to buy more stocks that I wanted to hold and have less of this diversification. Now, I love diversification, but we can see here that WealthSimple Invest does go a little bit crazy, which is fine. But like personally, I don't mind taking on a little bit of risk to hold like a little bit more US stocks, which have been shown to kind of grow a little bit more, and maybe get rid of some of these international stocks. But we can see here we have XEF, which is an international equities, 22% of the portfolio, 10% growth, so 5% per year. EEMV, which is emerging markets, this is a lot of the Asian markets and whatnot. Growth is 4%. So these obviously got hit pretty hard in the past year, and they're still kind of in recovery mode. So over the next year or two, they could rise up quite a bit. So again, it's not an accurate representation saying that, a year from now, this 4% could jump up to like 15 or 20%. We just got to wait. They're kind of in recovery mode, so that's kind of expected. Here we can see Canadian equities is 10%, which is a little bit on the low side, I think. I wouldn't mind kind of like swapping it, kind of what I'm doing inside my WealthSimple Trade portfolio. I'm swapping out some of these global ones and sticking them mostly just in Canadian and US, and I think that's perfectly fine for most people, because you do get tax benefits for Canadian stocks out of the TFSA. But our Canadian stocks with XIC has got 12%, so 6% per year, not bad, all things considered, especially with the tax benefits and whatnot. And then we have some global equities going down here, performing at -3%, so this one definitely hasn't done well, and hopefully there's some recovery going into the future. There most likely will be. It'll probably hit a good year either this year or next year. And then we have Canadian hedged VUS, which is like the hedged version of VTI. I don't really know why they have this in here, but nonetheless, it's performed well, about 30%, which is 15% per year. So once again, you can see that the US equities are really outperforming, and that's kind of been history over, once again, over time, this will change. But you can see here, this is why I wanted to start a WealthSimple Trade account in the beginning, which is just to get a little bit more risk to my personal goals. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think WealthSimple Invest is a good opportunity. It's a great alternative, and it's really good for people who don't want to get really learn a lot about investing but want to benefit from it. So I think it's a good tool for people who are just starting out, or people who just don't want to take the time to do all the stuff that I do kind of thing in these videos. So next up we have here is the bond section, which is 10%, which is pretty small. ZFL is down -3%, and our gold little ETF or trust, whatever this thing is down 11%. So these kind of offset the stocks. When stocks go up, these typically go down, and when bonds go up, stocks go down. And we've seen that over the past year, especially through the pandemic and whatnot. So that's a quick little update on the holdings, guys. I hope you guys found that a little bit helpful. Just understand that WealthSimple Invest really invest in like the broader market, so you're pretty safe. You'll get growth over time, and as you guys can see, we've done pretty well inside the portfolio. Next up here, we have the activity tab, and we can see different things such as dividends. We can see fees and whatnot. It's important to mention that WealthSimple Invest doesn't charge you per trades or anything like that, but they do charge you for management fee, which is about, I think it's about 0.4 or 0.5% of your portfolio, which is relatively cheap. I think for most people, like if you're looking to use a bank or mutual funds or a financial advisor to manage your portfolio, this is a nice cheaper alternative if you want to get almost the same benefit but just pay less in fees. So that it's a good alternative for those people, because banks and some advisors can really charge a lot in terms of fees. So at 0.4% or 0.5% is actually relatively cheap here. But we can organize different things. We can see investments, deposits, withdrawals. Let's go to dividends so you guys can see some of the dividend income. This portfolio is mostly growth based, but there is some dividend income that comes in on a regular basis, mostly on a quarterly basis. So as you guys can see here, in February we got a couple dividends here, but mostly like the first quarter of the year, January, we got a couple good dividends. Once again towards the end of the year, which is once again kind of that first quarter, lots of good dividends. And then as you guys can see here, the dividend income has just been slowly growing up over time as we put more money inside the portfolio, and it does take those dividends and it does reinvest them. It does have drips and whatnot, so nice good way to take those dividends and reinvest them and whatnot. So hope you guys enjoyed that little dividend update on the portfolio. And overall, the portfolio has performed pretty good, pretty decent, and I'm pretty happy with it, especially since I don't have to do anything to manage it other than put money inside the account. So when it comes to my future plans with this portfolio, I'm probably just going to let it sit there, because my main focus, once again, as most of you guys know who watch this channel, is to build my Wealthsimple trade portfolio. And I've just been kind of doing updates on that portfolio. And in the meantime, I'm just going to let this this big portfolio that's in the Robo-Advisor just kind of sit for now. I'm going to let it grow since it has been doing quite well, and I'm pretty impressed with the results. And I like just having like a little fail-safe just in case if things don't go my way with my Wealthsimple trade account, which I'm pretty sure they'll be fine, because I do a safe type of investing, but I still like to have that Wealthsimple Invest account just sitting there doing its own thing in the background, just in case kind of thing. And it has been performing quite well, and I'm pretty impressed with the different ETFs and whatnot that Wealthsimple has picked for us. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you guys enjoyed the video, please remember to smash the like button. It really helps the channel out. And I'll link to an end screen to another video that I did with my Wealthsimple trade account. Check that video out if you guys want to see how I've been building out my Wealthsimple trade dividend based portfolio over the past little while. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you guys later.